If you know the enemy, and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. Great work is done by people who are not afraid to be great. I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear. Knowing what must be done does away with fear. I have never known any distress that an hour's reading did not relieve. There are times when fear is good. It must keep its watchful place at the heart's controls. Nothing gives a fearful man more courage than another's fear. Love is what we were born with. Fear is what we learned here. The pleasures of love are always in proportion to our fears. So then learn to conquer your fear. This is the only art we have to master nowadays, to look at things without fear, and to fearlessly do right. Hate is the consequence of fear. We fear something before we hate it. A child who fears noises becomes a man who hates noise. There is no hope unmingled with fear, and no fear unmingled with hope. He will never have true friends who is afraid of making enemies. You always have two choices, your commitment versus your fear. If you want to conquer fear, don't sit home and think about it. Go out and get busy. Living with fear stops us taking risks, and if you don't go out on the branch, you're never going to get the best fruit. At the end of the day, we must go forward with hope and not backward by fear and division. Fear is the only true enemy, born of ignorance and the parent of anger and hate. Resist your fear. Fear will never lead to you a positive end. Go for your faith in what you believe. To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. If you go deeper and deeper into your own heart, you'll be living in a world with less fear, isolation and loneliness. Privacy is not for sale, and human rights should not be compromised out of fear or greed. Stand before the people you fear and speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Let us never negotiate out of fear. But let us never fear to negotiate. Never fear to deliberately walk through dark places, for that is how you reach the light on the other side. Fear is a disease that eats away at logic, and makes man inhuman. Fear makes strangers of people who would be friends. The secret of life is to have no fear. It's the only way to function. Fear is always there, it's a survival instinct. You just need to know how to manage it. The biggest challenge, or biggest crisis knocking on the doors of humankind, is fear and intolerance. Jealousy is the fear or apprehension of superiority, envy or uneasiness under it. No passion so effectually robs the mind of all its powers of acting and reasoning as fear. Embrace your fear. Imagine what you're most afraid of, touch it and hold it so that you rob it of its power. A good spicy challenge strikes a balance between flavor and fear. Above all, don't fear difficult moments. The best comes from them. He who is not every day conquering some fear, has not learned the secret of life. The greatest mistake we make, is living in constant fear, that we will make one. I don't want the fear of failure to stop me from doing what I really care about. The older I get, the more I understand that the only way to say valuable things is to lose your fear of being correct. I have a fear of being broke. That's what I have a fear of. I'm not kidding. The key to success is to focus our conscious mind on things we desire, not things we fear. Don't do anything for fear, because fear will never do anything for you. The day which we fear is our last, is but the birthday of eternity. Being aware of your fear is smart. Overcoming it is the mark of a successful person. A company is stronger if it is bound by love rather than by fear. People react to fear, not love. They don't teach that in Sunday school, but it's true. Love takes off masks that we fear, we cannot live without, and no, we cannot live within. Hopeful thinking can get you out of your fear zone and into your appreciation zone. Sometimes, the point isn't to make people believe a lie, it's to make people fear the liar. The meaning I picked, the one that changed my life: overcome fear, behold wonder. I've spent most of my life in prison. I was a prisoner of my fear, and my low self-esteem. Fear is not a good teacher. The lessons of fear are quickly forgotten. We only fear what we don't understand, and I hate to be scared. Courageous people do not fear forgiving, for the sake of peace. The fear tactic is a tactic that's used by people who want to maintain control, and it's very effective. If people are good only because they fear punishment and hope for reward, then we are a sorry lot indeed. You've got to kick fear to the side, because the payoff is huge. I have been fighting from a very young age. There is no fear there. It helped me cultivate the mindset of a fighter. Fear is a relative thing, its effects are relative to power. No fear is a mindset that I stand for. It's the reason why I've got to where I am today. The regrets of yesterday, and the fear of tomorrow, can kill you. Fear of failure must never be a reason not to try something. My biggest fear is becoming a parody of myself. That's something I struggle with. Fear defeats more people than any other one thing in the world. Don't let fear rule your life. Live one day at a time, and never be afraid. Everything we do in life is based on fear, especially love. You block your dream when you allow your fear to grow bigger than your faith. We need to kind of refresh our fear in order to refresh our understanding of how a safe place works. Fear cannot be banished, but it can be calm, and without panic, it can be mitigated by reason and evaluation. We are afraid to care too much, for fear that the other person does not care at all. I have a wish. It is a fear as well, that in my end will be my beginning. No person who is enthusiastic about his work has anything to fear from life. I have a fear of failure, letting someone down, contradicting myself. Love casts out fear, but we have to get over the fear in order to get close enough to love them.